Greetings, my name is Nana Sula Spirit, and I love serving humanity.
And that you do well.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Woke Wisdom Podcast. This is Alexandra Loves, and I'm here with my furry cosmic guardians, Cyrus and Bisu, joyfully coming to you from the Moon Garden, where wisdom is nourished, awakening is embraced, and fun is encouraged. This is it, my friends, my family, my collaborators in life. This is the last episode of the season. And we've experienced so much. We've had priestesses and medicine women and intuitive healers and sovereign business developers and justice advocates and animal whisperers and blessed grandmas and poets and more and more and more. What a blessing. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being present. It's my pleasure that we are exploring and evolving together in this world that grows more curious and bizarre every single day. Now, you will notice that there are currently no ads in this podcast. This is truly a labor of love. So please, if you resonate with what you hear on this podcast and you like this experience, please review this podcast on Apple. That is what helps us so much. It doesn't matter if it's a short or a long review. If you had a 5-star experience, please put that in your review. It's so important and it helps get the word out there tremendously, and it'll just take a few clickety clickety click click clicks 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 clicks. And one last thing before we get into the episode, I wanted to share an audio project that I'll be presenting in the late spring called Audio Storybook Collective Wisdom and Revelations from Africa and Her Diaspora. This is a mini-series podcast that I'll be presenting interviews with people from the continent of Africa and her diaspora all over the world. We'll be talking about my culture, my people, self-expression, nourishment, challenges, and inspirations. And if you like this podcast, you will love the audio storybook. The chats I have with these awesome people from all over the world really show how we're all connected as one big family. So I will drop a preview of the audio storybook into this Woke Wisdom podcast feed as soon as it's available. All right, let's do this. My next guest and I were destined to meet and heavily supported by Spirit to do so. And you're going to hear her talk about the synchronicity of our meeting in the beginning of our chat. This woman is so layered with kindness and wisdom, medicine and love. And I'm so blessed that she shared some of these divine gifts with us. Nana Sula Spirit, woman of peace, is a singer, songwriter, author, entrepreneur, artist, producer, birth doula, sacred workshop facilitator, and priestess. She was initiated in Ghana in 2007 as a priestess of Mami Wata and given the title, and I'm going to do my best to get these words right, Nana Okomfo Kokoi Ama Tawiah under the Ga Ewe systems. Nana Sula has studied the Ifa system since 1985. She created a book and CD project called Spirit of the Orisha, a Yoruba Song preservation project highlighting 38 Yoruba chants, and I have that book and CD. I listen to it in my car. It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Her solo project, A Journey Within, was written and recorded in Tanzania. Sula is the former professor of sacred music at the Ifa University in Washington, D.C., and is the founding priestess of the Temple of Light Ile de Kokoi, a temple of power for the elevation of souls located in Musicians Village, New Orleans, Louisiana, which is where we met. Sula holds a Bachelor of Arts degree with distinguished honors in African Studies and English Literature from Rutgers University. Sula is a singer-songwriter with her bands Kokoi and the Maroons. She is a Mardi Gras Indian medicine queen with the Mandinga Warriors, the Spirit of Fihihi, and a master bead artist. She also serves as a board member of the Congo Square Preservation Society. And there's so much more. I will put it all in the show notes. For now, let's take a deep breath and welcome Nana Sula Spirit.
I just want to say I really give thanks for the day that you so boldly passed by my house, going to your grandma's house, and saw the Temple of Light Ile de Kokoi sign and said, wait a minute, who is this? And then we just organically met. And that's how I know this is written for our sisterhood, because it was a divine bringing together of souls. But yes, I saw it and I felt it, and I just know that everything that we're supposed to do is already And I mean, you know, it was just, I don't know how many random doors you walk up to, but it was just really beautiful to have you walk up to my door randomly.
I love it.
I'm not sure, you know, but,
I don't walk up to many random doors.
Exactly. That's why I was like, I felt blessed that you walked up to mine. You know?
Yay. Nana Sula. If you could be an animal or a non-human, what would it be and why?
Well, for me, I would probably have to say a bird or a dog, because dogs are treated really, really well. And I personally have always been a dog lover, and I see their innocence. They just want to be loved. They don't really, they just want to serve.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they serve. They want to be loving. They want to be loved.
Yeah.
So my love for dogs is very, very personal. I've been a dog lover all my life. And
me too.
Yeah. So I have to say, it's not that I just love dogs. So I have to say that's my first animal of just absolute beauty. Would I want to be a dog? I don't know, but I just love what dogs bring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the next would be the Sankofa bird.
Okay.
I would pray to be the Sankofa bird in my one of my incarnations, because their job is so specific to put the issues of our burdens, if you will, on their back, and to, you know, fly them away from us. That's birds' function. A bird's function is to take things upon us, and we can ask, bird, can you transfer this pain from my heart and fly it away from me? Wow. So I like the power of the bird, because the bird has many powers, and they can fly high. They can hover above the earth and not be bothered by the earth. All these things I love, you know. They can not have to be bogged down by who's going to clothe them or feed them. They already know they're going to be clothed and fed and be given, you know, things for their children. Yeah. They're a worry-free animal in some ways. You know, even if a predator comes, they have the ability to fly high and be like, pew, I'm getting away from you, unless it's larger birds that's going pew and getting them, you know. Yeah. But I have to say, you know, and then I really have a great love, of course, for the lion. As a Leo, but also the way that the lion is very, very mindful of the pride. Yes. Is not ever selfish, you know, that the lion is able to see community and the importance of the nucleus.
I've never, like, cats are social animals and you always see them in packs, but I have never heard somebody put it in a sentence like that. Like lions are like community oriented like that.
Yeah, because they have to. They know that if they're conscious of the pride, and AKA the community. Yep. They're not just like, I'm a lion, I'm just gonna be chilling on my own thing. You get your meat where you can. You know what I mean? Like, they are conscious that everybody must eat before they eat. Wow. You see, and so I respect that. And if I have to name one more thing, if I shall, is an ant, because that's the queen, you know. I mean, I'm sorry, the bee, excuse me.
The bee. Okay. Okay.
The queen, she's clear who she is, you know, she doesn't doubt that. She runs stuff, but not in a bossy way. She's just like, let's get the honey, let's bring the sweetness to the earth, you know, let's do our job. Let's not, you know, let's never tarry on our work, because we got stuff to do. We have a planet to build. We got sweetness to bring. We got people to feed. Let's do our thing, man. And she's like, come on, let's do it. But you never see her biting the other things, stinging the other ones to make them work. Yeah. They understand already that they have a job to do. Yeah. They already understand it.
You know, so that's one thing I've been in since all the conversations we've had over the last few years now. I think since 2017, so more than a few years. you know, I want to mention here too, you were the reason how I got on that path of getting myself on a pilgrimage to West Africa and connecting with my spiritual ancestors
Yes.
and, you know, spiritual
Wow.
family. Yeah. Because after we had that reading together, you know, you were saying like, okay, build an altar and all this stuff. And I started to do these things, and
Mhm.
my relationship with my ancestors and spirit changed. And that almost
Mhm.
immediately, like within a year of that reading, it led me to like meeting my elder and that whole journey. So I'm so grateful.
Wow, I didn't
I'm,
even realize that was the sequence of things. But I
yes,
know that when my temple, as you know, is private. If you're not invited here, or you don't know about this place by word of mouth, it's not like it's in a book or anything.
yes,
I mean, most people know me because other people have told them, "Oh, come to this temple." But
yes,
for sure, for shiggity sure, anybody that's led here is because they usually have to do work with their ancestors or with repairing their lineage in
yes,
order to repair their life.
yes,
It's connected.
yeah,
Although, and even like I say, you're not going to always see eye to eye with every family member
of
because
course.
there are varying tribes within our bloodlines.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Some of them get along and some of them may not. Some people we mesh with and other people we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to make it some fantasy thing like you're going to sing kumbaya with every member of your family.
Right,
No,
that's not realistic.
yeah, I mean, that's not, but what is realistic is that where there is a break and where there is a weak spot, our job is to at least try.
Hmm. Yeah,
And once we try, then we give the rest to spirit and let the Holy Spirit and angels take it. Because even family members that don't agree with what I do in my priesthood or have demonized what I do or just never quite understood who I am, my job is still to bring them kindness, even when it's the toughest. You know what I'm saying? But when it's like, well, some of these people just don't come with respect. We have to use our wisdom and know that we need to be respected and honored wherever we go.
mm-hmm.
And so some family members, we have to say, I love you, but I surrender my attachment to any, pain or discontent with us. I surrender that to the spirit. And then you ask the ancestors, please repair this in your realm so that we can have peace in this realm.
Yeah,
And so the power of our ancestors and also this being a mother, Mami Wata grandmother shrine,
mm-hmm.
we're forced also to look at the father and mother of creation
Mm-hmm.
because we're taught most of the time to only honor the father of creation in the faces of the divine beings like Jesus and Allah, Buddha, and Krishna, which are the four pillars, which we honor very much in all of us. I mean, I'm sure you honor all of them as well. God known by many names, right? As long as we know the truth about these divine beings. But
Right.
in that, as women, we can't honestly believe that we don't have a place in that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know by virtue of the Holy Mother, known by many names, Asasiya, Mother Mary, Yemaya, Mami Wata, we have to, as women, know that we have a very sacred place in creation. We're not just a rib, we're not an afterthought. And once I came into the divine consciousness of the Father and Mother of creation through, I have to say, West African and Native traditions, because the natives teach us to honor the grandmother and grandfather.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
absolutely paramount.
yeah.
So,
Leaving it doesn't make just natural sense and or indigenous sense. And by indigenous, I don't mean a specific group of people, but just indigenous as beings of this planet,
yes,
to
ma'am.
leave out anything that has to do with the feminine. Like it doesn't, it's like out of balance. And one of the
Yes.
things that I learned immediately when I was in West Africa was when we call on the words that we use for God, we say Mause Bulise Bulisa. And it's mother father, right? Or father mother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mother father. And or father mother. That's the order, I think. Um
Mhm.
And so
that's Mawu and Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we all go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all I wanted to say. It was the I guess I'll add, it was the first time that I had been a part of a group or spiritually practicing people that's like the highest calling on God includes woman, or maybe somebody people are looking at, you know, as a defined feminine. And I just, it really opened my eyes to, though I knew that there was this imbalance in what I had been exposed to, to actually hear it. You know, I heard that, I've heard it. I've heard it, like, I've obviously, like, when I came to you, I heard you on, I mean, you're a grandmother temple, obviously you're honoring women, right? And I've heard it in different prayer groups and stuff, but to be in, like, immersed in indigenous people that are living their spiritual life in these more balanced, natural ways, to be immersed in, like, people whose culture is like that was explosive for me.
It's true. I have to say that even when I started saying, I remember when I first started saying the name of the Holy Mother, and I would say Father, Mother, and then I would automatically have this guilt come over me because of this indoctrination of while I was in the church. And although I honor, you know, the church and however anyone has to access the light. But I also recognize that only gave me a one-sided view of who God is.
Yeah.
When I began to research for myself, well, who is this Father and Mother of creation? You know, clearly there's more to what we have been told. And when I really started saying Father, Mother, God, it gave me greater balance. When I kept saying Father, Mother, creation, it gave me greater balance. But when I boldly said Mother, and actually reserved prayer for her, not feeling like I had to add the Father because I had guilt around it.
Yeah.
You see. So when I boldly started saying, Mother creation, come. And then when I was crowned a Priestess of Mami Wata, who is the mother of all waters, I knew that there was no way I could still carry this, like, silly guilt around. If I say Mother, I have to say Father. If I say Mother, I have to say Jesus. You know, if I say, it was all those things that in my young walk in the spirit, I had to reconcile with.
Yeah.
And now I boldly know that both Father and Mother of creation are equally important. It's the divine reflection of who we are anyway. And I have found I have gained more power in the spirit by finding my balance in my choice of how I greet the Father and Mother of creation. It was a balance I had to find. And again, I went through years of feeling like bad about it. And then I realized how silly that was. Because when I sat with people in native circles and they would boldly say, yes, grandmother, we honor you, grandmother. We honor you, grandfather. I was like, well, why do we feel like we can't say that?
I mean, the program goes deep, doesn't it?
So deep. It's extremely deep. And it's not something that we have to keep subscribing to when we know better. We do better.
Will you share with us, Nana Sula, about Mami Wata? I feel like this is something, this spirit is something that if you're in West Africa, obviously, you know, we know who this is. In the Caribbean, South America, we know who this is. And here in the United States, it seems to still be a fairly new, like, people are just now starting to hear about this spirit. And my understanding is that many of the children that are the diaspora of Africa here, that have melanin in their skin, are Mami Wata children. Now, I just want to say, listeners, I'm not sitting here saying this is who you are and, like, you know, wear that as a badge. There's a process of engaging with that and possible divination and all this other stuff. But I think it would be really awesome if you can share about Mami Wata, if you're permitted.
Yes, of course. Mami Wata is, I have to say, in my journey, when I was first initiated in Ghana in 2007, I first came into contact with hearing about Mami Wata in 1991, when I first met my shrine. My shrine, I initiated through the Shrine of Impohema, and that is in a small suburb of Accra called Bubwashi. And it's a Shrine of Impohema. And my godfather and godmother would talk, to me about Mami Wata just briefly. And because I didn't speak fluent Twi, I'm sorry, Ga, which is, I come from a Ga shrine, Ga and Ewe shrine. And although they spoke Twi, Ga, and Ewe, I didn't speak any of them fluently. So I didn't.
Those are not easy languages to learn.
Not at all. Right?
I had to tell you this really quick. Once I was sitting and we were in this ritual and I was listening to them speak, all of them, everybody there was speaking, had 6-7 languages that they spoke.
Yes.
And I listened to them switch back and forth between Fon, Ga, Ewe, French, and sometimes every once in a while somebody would spit out some English, so I knew. And then in the background, the people in the village, they were like speaking all these languages. Somebody busted out German. I was like, what is happening here? It's amazing.
Well, and you know how our minds have been closed because we have a hard time learning one language here.
Yes.
Something has happened in the transatlantic slave trade and in the transatlantic journey, because we don't have the same minds to understand languages like our ancestors did, or that people in modern day Africa do. You know, it's really remarkable. But I'm saying that to say, Mami Wata is a energy that you have to experience because there's very little written about Mami Wata. I actually recently had the honor of having Henry Drexel, who is the man who wrote the Mami Wata book. Although he's a white man, a European man, he wrote a very powerful book on Mami Wata, and I respect the book highly. And the other day, I had the honor of having him here at my temple for lunch, and we were just talking about Mami Wata and Papa Wata, and the two are very powerful. I think the reason why Mami Wata's energy is being very crowned right now is because she comes for the healing of humanity.
Yes.
All of the deities and all of the energies come to uplift humanity. They all work, they all coincide and work together. But Mami Wata specifically she works to heal humanity. Even though she is clearly an African deity. If you see pictures of Mami, if you go to an African shrine, in fact, when I was initiated under Mami Wata, and even when I was studying at that shrine, they would always show me Hindu deities.
Yes. So confusing. That was very difficult and confusing for me when I was there.
Well, it's confusing if you don't understand why. I didn't understand at first when I was studying at the shrine. They handed me a picture of Lakshmi.
Yeah.
And I was like,
me so too. Beautiful. I have it hanging over my altar. They were like, here, they actually asked me, they said, could you get a picture of Lakshmi? And I was like, the Hindu deity? And they were like, yeah. And I brought it, and it was like a big deal for them to bless it. And I was like, why am I looking at Vishnu and Brahma and Lakshmi in this voodoo temple in the middle of Togo? This makes no sense, but please keep going. I really want to hear more of this.
It was beautiful, although, like you said, confusing, because here I came as an American in my 20s saying, I want to know about Africa. Why are you showing me these Hindu gods? Why are you showing me these Hindu deities, right? But now I understand. Because Mami Wata deals with trade across waters. Mami Wata deals with riches. These Hindu deities always are adorned with riches and wealth. And Mami Wata is about going to the bottom of the ocean and grabbing those treasures at the bottom of that ocean and bringing them up to us. Yes. So the Hindu deities would be a great visual, if you will, of what the powers of Mami Wata are. She comes to represent divine feminine power. She comes to represent gold and wealth and adornment. She comes to represent the serpent Kundalini energy to keep us balanced on the earth and in the heavens. So you see her sometimes with a snake. So of course, because our traditions have been demonized, people say, "Oh, she's with a snake. That's the devil." Now we all know that that's nonsense because the snake is very powerful, showing us how to shed our skin. the Mami Wata and the serpent energy are very, very specific in showing us how to let go.
Yes.
Don't be so rooted on this earthly plane. Be able to be fluid and flow like the water. Be able to go and live underwater as well as on the shore. You know, Mami Wata's job also is about deep healing. People in West Africa, when they need deep healing and they know exactly who, I'm not just West Africa, wherever they say Mami Wata's name, they know that if they go to that water and they petition the mother, known by many names, not just Mami Wata, but if they petition the water spirits and they go and wash themselves in the ocean and they go and wash themselves with the sand to wash off the burdens of this earth, they will be healed. If they go and put fruits or orange soda, I will talk about some of the offerings from Mami Wata, but if they go and put these, go and petition and go to the shore of the mother and say, Mami, I come to you. I have cancer, or I have blah, 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 or I have this and that, and I need healing. Come and help me. Come and wash me. Mami Wata will come and help her or him. Now, the same with Yemaya and other water spirits. But specifically, if we talk about Mami Wata, we know that well, let's go back. We know that Yemaya comes to for the nurturing of our families and the healing of our children and for fertility. Mami Wata has some of those same attributes. But for that deep healing, sometimes Mami Wata will take her children. Someone might disappear from a village for 2 or 3 months, maybe a year. And they will come back and the whole village might have thought that they had died in the ocean or they disappeared. Meanwhile, they will come back. There are many, many, many accounts of this. They will come back endowed with vision. Yes. Endowed with sight that they didn't have before. Now, Mami Wata is not, many people may fear her because of that thing. If you notice when you went to West Africa, you saw mostly tourists going into the ocean. You saw African people standing back a bit and watching. You did not see African people go up in that ocean too much, did you?
Yes, and I saw something recently in a movie that was, I think it's called, you know, the Digimon Honsu movie about voodoo and Benin. What is it called? It's on Prime or something like that, like Grace of Heaven or something like that. It's about these practices, and there's this one part where they're at the beach.
Yeah, I know the man, the really beautiful. What's the man's name that you just mentioned?
It's Digimon Honsu.
Yes, exactly.
That movie.
It's fabulous. It's very, very wonderful.
He's showing, like, they're showing in this documentary where they're going to the ocean to do these, you know, one of the rituals, and it was very similar to a ritual that I was in. And in this ritual, they hold this woman because she's like being called back into the ocean, and they know they always have, like, it seems to that they always have 2 guys around, 2 young men to hold people so that they don't go into the ocean and get taken by the ocean. And that was something that I experienced too. They were like, I was like, no, I can stand. We're not going deep. Like, I can stand. It's not a big deal. And they were like, no. And I'm not talking about a current part of the ocean either. I'm just talking about, like, up to your ankles or your knees. Like, most people can stand in that. And they'll have people holding on to you because you can have that connection with Mami Wata and want to go. And that in that movie, there's that part where this woman, like, wants to go back to her mother, back to Mami Wata, and they have all these boys coming to get her to pull her out.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, that part, I have tears in my eyes now because that part of that documentary really touched me, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, it's real that those of us that are daughters of hers, we desire to experience that underwater, those mysteries.
Yes.
And I don't wish to be taken, but admittedly, I have gone to the ocean and said, Mommy, if you need to take me to teach me, then I'm open.
Yeah.
But I need you to bring me back because I don't want my mommy to cry. That's what I said. I don't want my mother to cry.
Yeah.
So my
or your
mother's now.
sweet little dogs, to miss you.
Yeah. And it's not that people would misunderstand that. They would say, well, what are you wishing death? No, it's has nothing to do with that. But as a person who is fascinated by both sides,
Mm-hmm.
Naturally you have an inkling to know, like, I'm sorry, inclination to know, like, well, there are people that have been taken, and wow, have they returned so powerful.
Yeah.
Now, do I really wish to be taken? No, but I understand that that's how her medicine is.
Yes.
I have to say too that Mami Wata calls on many of her sons and daughters through illness. And I did not even become initiated until I had cancer.
Wow.
In 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my call. It was my final call. Like, I knew my godfather, when I went to Ghana, he told me when I walked into the shrine and I got my reading, he said, you're hard-headed. He said, you will come to this shrine through illness. And he was right.
Oh, this is starting to be a theme on the Woke Wisdom podcast.
Oh my God, I was so
all the world calling all these guests hard-headed and stubborn and difficult.
Yes.
Notice the theme.
It's true. And most of us who are called that, honestly, we were, but
Mm-hmm.
we're the best servants of light later.
Mm-hmm.
Because we bring that same determination into our practices.
Mm-hmm.
We don't let anything interrupt, hopefully, if we're really doing the work. We don't let anything come and interrupt what we know is our divine work.
Yeah.
That's why some children of Mami Wata, it's hard for them to be married.
Mm.
A lot of us are not married. And I have to say, I have cried a river of tears over this subject.
Yes. Because
in my younger walk, I never understood. I've had 2 boyfriends have passed away. I had, I've had different experiences with death at a very young age.
Yeah.
Particularly people who I've loved. And I remember one day crying before I took the baton. And I remember one day crying, saying, how come everybody else can find love? How come it's so easy for everybody else? And one day I just heard, I was even crying over not being a mother. This is in my 30s. And I was like, I want to be a mother. I want to have a family. I just want to have a normal life. And I could just hear like a laugh in the ancestral realm, like, that's so cute, right? But the spirit basically said, but I chose you for something else. That's what I heard. Stop, dry your tears. I've chosen you for something else. And then one day, shortly after that, I went to see one of my spiritual teachers, because I've also been in a monastic community, a group of monks, since 1996.
So my God. Every time I talk to you, there's another layer of just super dynamic, amazing, powerful, it's just so cool. I don't have words.
That's a part of my life that is so sacred to me. I don't discuss it. Yeah. It's like, the community is called the Purple People. The Purple People is one name, but they're also called it's the Veil of Truth monastic community, the Veil of Truth Monastery.
Okay.
And I've been with them since the early 90s, mid 90s, since I moved to New Orleans. I met my teacher after a week of being here. I went to an esoteric bookstore that they had here and met Nazim Ray. And I have to say that that's a lot of my teachings around the Hindu traditions and around peace and forgiveness and being filled with integrity. Much of that comes from my early background with the monastic community.
Okay.
And in dealing with the monastic community, again, after about a week after being told that in the spirit that I was chosen for something else, I went to see my teacher. I went to the monastery, and I was just sitting in quiet meditation with my teacher. And when I sat there, out of nowhere, it was like he read my mind. And he said, don't cry over not having children. He said, don't cry over love. He said that there are going to be, once you understand the spirit, it's going to be the greatest love you've ever met. And honestly, Alexandra, I didn't understand that. I had no way of understanding that as a woman in her late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s that wanted those worldly things. And so I kept trying. I kept trying. And then the more I read about Mami Wata, it said that she doesn't really allow her children to be married because she needs them for the healing of humanity. Mm-hmm. And it's a big job. And relationships can sometimes be a distraction. As much as I love being in love, you are absorbing another person's entire body of energy. And sometimes having to, minimize some of your likes and desires because you're with another person, or minimize some of the things that you do, or you just automatically get rerouted into what they need to do, or you automatically get rerouted into other people's agendas. So I have found at this point, crowning 57, I'm 56 now.
Wow.
But I will be 57 in August. And I have met the greatest love. I now know that. So I don't desire those things anymore. I don't desire, quite frankly, even sex. Wow. It's not something it would be a distraction for me. And now I see what Mami Wata means. Now I can sit fully in her energy. Mm-hmm. Because when I was married in 2017, and I fell deeply in love with my husband. Mm-hmm. And I knew when that marriage ended that was my last time. The Spirit said, I've allowed you to experience that world. And now I need you for this world. And I've never looked back. And I made peace. In 2017, I got married. In 2018, they told me I couldn't be married anymore. And I had to end that marriage. And I mourned it. Oh, girl, I was crying.
Oh my God.
You hear me? I cried. Yeah. But at the end of those tears, I was ready. And now I don't see anything but the shrine work and my music. Honestly, it's like, I see people and I think they're beautiful. And I'm like, wow, these are beautiful humans. But do I want to go to the length of going on dates or even sleeping with a person? I just can't even imagine it.
There's so much just ritual and ceremony just around getting close in the bond. It's a lot.
It's a lot, girlfriend.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, Momo. I'm like, I don't know. I love my life just like it is. I really do. I run to open Mami Wata's temple. I run into my backyard to unlock. I'm like, and when I open the door, I say, hey, y'all. Hey, it's another day to heal humanity. Let's do this. It is so beautiful to me. Now, I think that's why when I go out, men don't approach me because I think they know I'm already married.
Right?
I've had people tell me that. And that's how Mami Wata, once she has your attention, mm-hmm. And that's why I see why when I was younger, someone said to me, when I was in my 30s, someone said to me, you're powerful now, but it's a third of what you're going to be in your 50s. Mm. And I again, in my 30s, I was like, oh, that's nice. What a nice compliment.
It's nice, but I'm looking for a man, really.
Absolutely. That's right. And I didn't understand it. But now in August, as I crown 57, I've been I made a commitment to Mami Wata in 2018 to be celibate, and I've never looked back. And I know that right now, the rest of my years, however many years I have in the body, mm-hmm. they have to be given to the spirit. I've wasted a lot of time being silly.
Yeah.
I wasted a lot of years on other people's madness. And now, whatever years I have remaining, they deserve it.
Yana, this is something that is I think, really important to understand about the spiritual path, because
Yes.
we do, because we don't have, like, what you're talking about is a context that we don't get exposed to a lot here. And we get exposure to a lot of types of spirituality that may be helpful in some way to people, but a lot of types of spirituality that's very under the goggles of colonization, where we can say we want this but not this, we want this but not this, we want the pleasure and reward of
Right.
whatever this ceremony or whatever will bring to us, but not necessarily the type of long-term commitment or sacrifice or surrendering that it will take to experience it. And so what I'm hearing you say is something that, you know, I'm at a different stage obviously in my life and my spiritual path and priestesshood and everything, but what I'm hearing you say is that you have reached this level of this, like, surrender acceptance. And now once you were able to really embody that, it completely changed your perception of something that just seemed like almost repellent to you about spirituality, you know? And I this is something that I've had trouble with. Like, I was helping with empowerment, spirituality, and connecting and stuff, but it is something that I've had trouble with um, in my own sort of groups that I've held, or you know, if I'm speaking or something, is that there really is a fear, and I understand why, because I heard things about myself and understood things about myself that I was like, really, what? But but why? You know, like, when I was, you know, in West Africa, and you know, it was a very amazing trip, and I feel that I've been given a lot of grace, but I find that sometimes that is this voice in the back of my head, and sometimes honestly it's a block when I'm helping people with spirituality, because I feel like our population, especially the United States right now, is really starting to walk a path of coming back to indigenous ways, coming back to, it's happening everywhere. And there's what we call decolonization part of, like, understanding that just because you want to be crowned Oshun doesn't mean that you get crowned Oshun. You know, if you want to be a queen, it doesn't mean that you are covered in jewels and people do what you say. It's actually a greater responsibility than you might even be able to fathom. And so I find that sometimes is a challenge, because in my own acceptance of things that I found out about myself, I'm like, how am I going to help people on that path? Like, I'm like, it's daunting to me.
Well, let me stop you right there. That's where I had my other breakthrough. Listen to it. How am I
right
gonna help you? That's already the first line.
It's not just me. I have a congregation behind me.
No, it's not even you though. This right. is the thing. You're moving in the body.
Yeah.
But they are telling you what to say and what to do. So yes, you're responsible because you're in the body. So it is an I on some level. But one day I said that in my shrine.
Yes.
Indeed, they corrected me so nicely. One day when I only have my shrine open. I just come back from Ghana, and I was like at my shrine, dumbfounded, like, because at that time I didn't have the shrine in the backyard. I didn't have the house in the backyard. I would do this in my living room. I mean, my living room, when I created a shrine room, which people would come to the back of my house. And when I think about it now, it was so dangerous, you know, because I didn't really know these people at all, and not that we ever do. But then I started, when I got out of my human thing of, oh, this is dangerous. What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. What am I going to say? What if they come and I say something wrong? What if they come and I tell them something that reroutes their life? What if, and then one day I was saying that, and you know what the spirit said to me? Shut up. Girl, they just said exactly that. Shut up. Stop talking. Because I was a talker, because I had nervous energy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to manage this energy?
Yeah.
And they told me one day, shut up. And it was a very loud. So of course I listened, and I said, I just was quiet and I shut up. And they said, you just need to show up. We're going to do the rest. And then, you know what I would say? Like when, let's say after that, someone would call me and they would say, oh, hi, Nana Sula, I'm calling to book appointment. Let me tell you what I'm dealing with. I would stop them. I'd say, stop. I don't know you, but the holy ones know you.
Mm-hmm.
All those that are sending you to this shrine, they already know what you're dealing with. You don't need to tell me nothing.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me anything. And then I started freeing myself of the ego of this work.
Yes. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I had to get it, baby. It's not anything you're doing wrong. They had to show me. Yeah. Because in my early walk, I didn't think I was bringing ego to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was free of ego, right? No, you get your lessons, right? I wasn't free of ego.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to tell them?
Yeah.
And then when they told me to shut up and I shut up, after that, I never was the same.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, thank you, Spirit. And then what I would do is before the person came, I would go to the shrine and I would ring the bell and I would say, ding, 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 ding. Holy angels, holy ancestors, Mami Wata, and all the guides that walk with me. Sarah, blah, 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 is coming to the shrine today. Make me the hollow bone through which you travel.
Yeah.
Empty me out and pour you in. Speak through me so that Sarah can be helped.
Yes.
Free me of any of my opinions about what Sarah may need.
Yeah.
And it just started flowing differently because I stopped being nervous about what I was going to say. And I would just sit in the shrine like at least 20 minutes before the person came. Half an hour. I would sit in the shrine and just let the frankincense fall over me. I'd be the place would be billowing in smoke or wherever I was. And I would just say, you know, Sarah, show me Sarah. Show me what Sarah needs to know. Now that was in the early days. Now, when Sarah I'm just using Sarah as an example, of course.
Yeah.
But if Sarah calls now, anyone calls now, all I need is your first name. Your name is Sarah? Okay. I don't want to know your last name. Now in Ghana, we have to know their birthday because you need to know some things about astrology and some things about their earth sign. Quite honestly, I don't know why that's something I've taken out of my practice. I learned it in Ghana that you have to know their birthday. But for some reason, for me, it tied me too much into locking them into a sign rather than seeing the totality of who they are and the deities that come with them. For me, this is only me. Yeah, that's what it did for me.
I want to add to what you're saying here, Nana Sula, and that is, obviously you have many years in the experience of reading, and in contrast to the amount of time I've been doing it, but I have a natural aversion to the birthdays and the signs as well. I think signs are actually really fun. I love getting readings myself. I have some understanding, but someone once told me that I think I had been applying ideas of astrology that I think it was getting cross-mixed because the energy of astrology here is not necessarily copacetic with the astrology, the cosmic science and cosmic divinity of what's going on in West Africa. And sometimes I wonder if this is one of the reasons I have a natural aversion to using like a birthday or knowing, because I wonder because the energy is so high here on the type of astrology here that it's like just get around it. Don't engage too much of it. I don't know. It's just something that it's interesting to hear you say that. And I have some similar kind of idea.
I think for the same reasons, because we want to, personally, I want to see not just you as a Leo, for example. Or I don't want to just see you as, like you might come in and say, if I know your birthday, I might be like, August 18th. Okay, she's a Leo. So I will come in with some predisposed things around or some preconceived notions, around what it means. Oh, she's a Leo. So she might be all those traits of a Leo.
Yeah.
Well, she might not be manifesting none of that. Maybe in her incarnation, she transcended all those
things that it might mean to be a Leo. Like people say you have to be, Leos are bossy, Leos are this and that. I'm not necessarily bossy. What I am is that I try to command the stage that I'm like, if I'm in a particular thing and I'm running something in my shrine, it's not in a bossy way, but I have to be the queen of my shrine.
Queen bee way. It's in a queen bee way.
Know what I'm doing. I can't just let you come in my shrine and run amok. And run with, you know what I'm saying? Girl,
I can't just let you come in my shrine and run amok.
No, like you want to walk in with shoes and I tell you to remove your shoes, and I'm just gonna be like, all right, that's cool. No, so stuff like that. You have to be able to say these are the temple. This is temple protocol, and I abide by this, and I ask you to do the same. And that's different from saying, girl, you know you better blah 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 blah. You see, so the Leo thing will or the sign thing, quite frankly, locked me into reading them just as that sign. Yeah. So I gave it up in the first couple of years. And when I told my godmother, she says, you must use their birthdays. This is how we are trained. You must use birthdays. I just don't tell her I don't use it. Because I don't want the argument. Because I'm going to have to state my position, because that's what you should do as an Okomfo and spirit mother, you know. I have to say why I don't use them. But that's between you and I and all the people listening to this podcast.
Oh my God.
I don't use it because of that. I don't want to be limited.
Yeah.
So you come in, your grandmothers might come in. But if I'm stuck on your sign, how is grandma going to open the door?
Yeah.
You see, so that's my take on that.
And I think there's something to be said here too, and that is, you know, spirituality is so personal. My friend said to me the other day that one of his elders had said, you know, stop trying to define spirituality. And, you know, obviously there's some sort of understanding that maybe many people on earth share, just some understandings about spirituality, but every practitioner, and even if they're not a practitioner, everybody who is involved with, you know, say they're all involved with the same spiritual family and they all have very similar, you know, deities and shared rituals and ceremony, from person to person, there are certain things that just are like one person, it does not make sense for them to do this thing, or the belief system of like 6 out of 10 people totally makes sense for those 6 people, but the other 4, it doesn't. And so this is one of the things that was challenging for me, and sometimes it's still challenging, where I come in with the conditioning of it needs to be this way and it needs to look this way, and you know, what are the rules, kind of, right? And I once my elder said to me, she said, stop thinking so white. There aren't rules. There are rules like that. And by white, she didn't mean like, she meant like as in the white dominant culture. She didn't mean like every white person, you know, have to understand like that translation. But she said, stop, because you know, the white represents, in the way she was saying it, represents the people coming in and colonizing the culture and taking the way of thinking and augmenting it into a very specific way of thinking. That's what she was talking about. But I find myself being on this path of just being open to the freedom of, I get what is, you know, I get my messages from a temple. I go through certain, you know, ceremonies or whatever, but in my own personal practices or with somebody, being far more flexible than I was even 5 years ago, because I'm like, oh, this just might not make sense in the setting I'm in, or my brain's just not wrapping around this thing. And there's a reason. It's not because I can't understand. There's a reason why I have an aversion to doing something this way, and it hasn't caused hurt or harm. So, you know, I'm going to allow myself to know that I have foundations that work for me, and I'm always learning those, and also be free and flexible in how I'm practicing.
Well, it's true. It's like you have to, just like when I was initiated in Ghana, I had to adapt my shrine to where I am. I mean, I don't have all the leaves and herbs that you have there. I don't have the soap that you go to the sacred market that's secret underneath the table that you can only buy if you're Okomfo. I don't have those things all the time. So I had to improvise and adapt my shrine to what I can do here. So I bring in the flowers where maybe in Ghana, they would bring in nyangina, which is a particular herb that we use for spiritual baths. Well, maybe I might use leaf life and some rosemary or something, some other herbs or omiero to make my bath, whereas some of the herbs are slightly different. But the power is the same, is that we speak life into the plants and ask the energy to shift the vibration for this person as this water or herb touches their face or hand or body, right? Yes. And so it's about the power and the prayers. That's why our grandmothers and grandfathers and such in the South, they didn't need to be initiated under Baba Dadaba's house or Mama Blokwala's shrine. They didn't need to do that. The grandmothers in the South, they just by virtue of tapping into the earth, they knew that this leaf or this herb or this such and such helped this. And that herb you can use as a tea, and you can also use it to wash your children. You see, so sometimes we get caught up in titles too, which is where the ego gets lost. Sometimes we get caught up in I'm the mama or the baba. We got to die to that stuff. Everybody that comes unto the throne of light is a child. Even me, I'm a baby. I might have been in this 30 years. So what? I'm still a baby in that every day we're learning. And when we get rid of some of those isms that we have around, I'm so-and-so, you have to bow to me, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And those things are important in ceremony, but in everyday life, sometimes people come to you and they're an average everyday person, or they might be,
you might never know. You
don't know. So you can't come with the uppity up. No matter how many crowns you may carry, you still have to be about just serving and helping humanity.
Yeah.
And that is where I found freeing myself of, this is me now. This is only me. And, people have to come to their way. But I found that freeing myself from the ego allowed the spirit to flow in a greater way.
Yeah.
And even that saying, or empty me out, pour you in, or make me the hollow bone through which you travel, that's saying, I don't wish to be in the driver's seat right now. I need y'all, to take the wheel, whether that be Brother Yeshua, the Loa, the Orisha, the Obusum, the angels. Take the wheel, Allah, whoever it is, take the wheel and let me sit in the back and let y'all lead.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to do that, to be able to surrender the self for the work. And again, if you had asked me 10 years ago, would I be comfortable just being seated with spirit and doing full-time spirit work, and you're not really thinking about being, a hot girl, I would have been like, no, I still have some of this left in me. But honestly, unless someone's coming who's also a medicine person, who can respect the work and know that my shrine is probably 80% of my life, or maybe 70, because my music is my other love.
Yes.
I just love. And so there would have to be a great understanding. And I'm not saying that no human is capable of that. I think that there are humans capable of that. But right now, I've wasted a lot of time being silly in my younger life.
Yeah.
And not being as rooted in the spiritual, in the seriousness of this work, and so it's a beautiful balance for me.
Nana Sula, is there something significant that you learned about yourself in this past year that you could share with us?
Oh God, yes.
There's probably many things.
I learned that I matter this year. In the last year, I've learned that I matter, and that it's important that I take care of myself. As you know, I've been a caregiver for my mother for the past 6 years, and my mother had dementia and was fully paralyzed and couldn't talk or walk. And so being a primary caregiver for my mother was the greatest assignment I've ever had in my life. I absolutely loved caring for my mother, although there were days when she wasn't looking, I cried. I was very tired,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through the death of myself as she was dying. I too was dying. And I knew I was dying because I had pushed myself so much. I was operating on like 2, 3 hours of sleep. And by the time my mother finally passed, my mother passed January 22nd of this year.
Bless her.
And bless her soul, she's finally got her new body. I'm so happy for her, you know. But what I learned when it was all over is that sometimes it's unhealthy to not consider yourself. Not sometimes, it just is.
Yeah.
And even though I was in a position where I couldn't think of myself much because of the heaviness of the load, but I also allowed myself to be mistreated by some family members who were very, rude at times. And I just kept taking and swallowing the pain and swallowing the pain and swallowing the pain. But when my mother passed, I realized I don't have to hold it like this no more. I feel so free now, Alexandra. I am a free bird now. But for 6 years, I was torn up inside. It was hurting me to see my mother go down like that. It was hurting me to, feel like I couldn't live my life and I couldn't even do anything. But it wasn't that I resented the assignment. I love the assignment. I love the fact that my mother never saw a nursing home. I love the fact that I cared for my mother and wiped her eyes and made sure she didn't have anything in her eyes or nothing. I made sure her face was, I made sure those things were beautiful because that was my service. But once she passed, it's like I became the bird. I became the phoenix and I became the Sankofa bird. So for the last 2 or 3 months, I've been in and out of St. Croix. I went to North Carolina. I've been traveling. Now it's time to spread the message around the world.
Wow. Thank you. Wow.
I've been in New Orleans all this time. I've been in New Orleans for 25 years, going on 26 years. And as much as I love my community, I've served the New Orleans community for a very long time. And now my mother's flight has given me permission to serve the world. And that's why Mami Wata is crowning me so strong.
Yeah.
Mami Wata is coming strong. She has come stronger to me in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Especially in the last year. Mami Wata has been so strong with me because she knew I was preparing for the transition of my mother. And then also, I must say, as priestesses, we have to know what we need. Last July, I knew that I needed a cleansing. I knew that I was dying. I knew it spiritually and physically.
Yeah.
Even though I was serving this community and I was doing my work, somewhere in me, I was brokenhearted.
Yeah.
I was. And I was brokenhearted about the treatment. Then again, the family, my mother, the divorce that happened in 2017. I was just mourning so many things in the last 6 years as my mother was preparing for the afterlife. So I have to say that now I feel more joyful than I ever have been. I'm at peace. I'm creating. I'm doing all the things that my life did not allow me to do. Yeah. And I realized in the last 6 years, I've been just surviving.
Oh, wow.
And this mommy, now that have my wings and I've become the Phoenix bird, it's like, wow, I'm seeing like life from a whole nother perspective because I have been holding back some of the enormity of my gift because I couldn't let it out too much because I didn't have time to expand it. I was like, I could let this out for a minute, but I got to go back and, take care of my mama. Yeah. But now I don't have that. So it's like my mother is the wing, the wind beneath my wings. My father is as well, because my father transitioned about 4 years ago. So it's been beautiful to feel who is Sula? Who am I? And I realized like it's time for me to be the flower that I was born to be. It's time for me to be free as I love to be. And I have so many great ancestors backing this mission that there's nothing but success on my road. There's absolutely nothing but light ahead.
Ashe.
And that's all I want to see.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why our ancestors go up, not so that we can mourn for 5 years. Oh Lord, I'm so-and-so, Jesus, mama. No, it's not for that reason. They're supposed to go. My mother was supposed to pass. She was 80 something. Come on now, family. You know what I mean? We gotta understand that the life and the birth and death cycle that's gonna be. You know, but as they go up, they give us the power to be greater. So destiny work, let's do it. Let's all, ask, empty me out of these things. And I have to say, a lot of people's stuff, mommy, has to do with childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Many people, if they can go back and look at the child within and give him and her permission to play again, wow, that's the gift. Be playful again. I'm learning. I was in such a serious mode for 6-7 years. And now I'm learning, like, oh wow, I can laugh again. Well, I'm gonna go, I'm just gonna be silly today. I'm just gonna go to the beach because I want to,
Yeah. I feel like so I want to add this to what you're saying. I recently have come to deeper terms with PTSD recovery. And this is something I've known that I struggle with, but more recently it's just been like very big, and obviously time to move it. And it has been silliness when I get the physical, like when I have, I don't know, a flare up, a trigger, whatever it is, and it starts gathering within me. There are parts of my body that get very painful and like almost like there's a rock inside me that's unmoved. It's very painful. And I have been suffering with that for a long time and have come to understand that part of that has to do with this life, but part of that also, and this, has to do with things I'm carrying from other ancestors who know what I'm doing. And they're like helping me. Like it feels like pain, but really what it is like they know that I am one of the ones in this line right now that can move this and can heal this. Right. I just didn't know that before. I just didn't grow up in that culture. It took me a while to get here. And so I have this pain that gathers sometimes. And yes, I work with spirit and ancestor, also with the therapist. For me, it's important to have all body work, all of that. And I found that one of the best medicines for me to move, especially that physical part that turned into a rock and really is painful for me, is silliness. Is absolute right. Bizarre silliness. And as a kid, I remember being called like the Mad Hatter because I would just I would have these bouts of silliness that people would be like, is she okay? And it was really me being a very sensitive, empathic child who talked to spirits and ancestors and didn't know what to call it, and also didn't know that I was the only person doing this. I thought there's just normal life. As a kid, you do those things or you experience these things that you're like, doesn't everybody do this? That's right. And I remember as a kid, bless my parents, I don't think they really knew how sensitive I really was. And as supportive as they were, I loved my childhood. I loved my childhood with my parents. As supportive as they were, I don't think that they knew all the ways to help me navigate like the emotional sensitivity and interpersonal issues that I had as a kid, or how to manage the stress that was happening in my body. Like there's no rule book for that. It was very nuanced, So I remember as a kid having these bouts of bizarre silliness, even into like middle school and high school. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, that's a natural medicine for me.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm bringing it back now. And I'm just like, this is just me being this kid. Kids come into the world with their natural medicines. If we don't know what to do about something, if there's a kid around, find out what they think about it, because they might know.
They surely will. They'll know. And they remind us to be playful. And that's why for some people that come to my shrine, I also suggest that they buy a doll that represents their own inner child. Okay. And there's a sister here. She makes these beautiful mermaids.
and they're dark skinned mermaids. And I would love to be able to put her dark skinned mermaids, full figured mermaids, big booty mermaids, and then she has some that are honey colored. And her website, I love her. It's my good friend called Ananda, and the Ananda Free is she and her, but their business is Weird, WYRD, Weird Wonders. And they even make an alien doll. They make an extraterrestrial. I don't like the word alien, but they make an extraterrestrial doll. And they have a book. And so what I do is sometimes when people come to my shrine, there's also a lady named Nancy Freeman, and I will pass you her information if you want to put it out on the podcast. But Nancy Freeman makes these beautiful inner child dolls that are small, more like as big as my hand or larger. And then the Black Mermaids are through Sister weirdwonders.com.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put those in the show notes for sure.
Okay. And then I'll give you Nancy's information. But I also often suggest that when people are dealing with inner child work, that they get a doll. Someone gave me a doll in my 20s, and I call her Indigo. And anytime I felt afraid or anything in my early years of developing this practice, I would hold her, I would fall asleep with her. And now she just sits on my mantle in my room, and she reminds me to honor my inner child. She reminds me to remember being silly. And even though I'm not necessarily so silly anymore, I still love to laugh, and I love to be with friends who I can laugh with. So sometimes, I might just choose a friend that I know I'm just going to laugh with and say, come on, let's go to dinner or something. But honestly, I don't really need a bunch of, laughter so much. I just feel a sense of peace and joy every day.
Yes. I've spent some years in a different type of survival mode for different reasons. And I remember when, after a significant amount of acknowledgement, healing, and changing my life, I remember when I claimed something similar to that out loud, and the joy, it was something like I was talking to a friend and I said, oh yeah, my days are happy now, or something like that. And it was it was like, whoa, I had like 6 or 7 years where I could not claim that.
No.
Sometimes weeks without an hour of feeling that. So I'm so happy that you have come to this place on your path.
I have. Oh, it took many years. It took many years, sister. That's why I say when people come to me and they say, oh, I want to be a priestess, I always say, are you sure?
Ooh.
A lot of people say that. I want to be a priestess. And I always say, well, are you sure? Because if you're not called to this, if you're not ready for this, it's not for the faint of heart. You're giving up yourself. You are committing your whole life to serving community and spirit. You are you are a mother to the community. You help mothers, babies, the sick and shut in. Those are hungry.
Yes.
Those that need some money. I mean, this is what it is. It's not just sitting on these thrones saying, I am Madam blah, blah, blah. No. I mean, we might be Madam So-and-so to some people, but Madam So-and-so is working. Madam So-and-so, when everybody else is sleeping, is up mixing tinctures. Madam So-and-so is mixing herbal teas. Madam So-and-so is praying for the community when everybody else is sleeping. Yeah. So no, it's not. It's a beautiful service work, but it is service. And that's why when people say they want to do this or that, and then they get mad when everything is not, absolutely like honey. Well, you signed up for a world that's going to give you both to teach you.
Yes. Ooh. And speaking of the making the tinctures and praying for the community and all the work, what are you up to these days that's aligned with your spirit?
Well, it's interesting that my best friend died about 2 or 3 years ago, and he was a sangoma and an herbalist. And he came to a friend of mine in a dream about a year ago. And he said, tell Sula to not stop doing the apothecary. So girl, when I tell you in the last year, I've been growing all kinds of stuff. I've been deep in my garden, growing. My plant that's been calling me most is a plant called Miracle Leaf or Siempre Vive. or leaf light. And I made a miracle leaf salve from it. It heals the whole body. It does a lot. It's anti-cancerous, antifungal, antimicrobial. It's a very powerful salve. So I've been making salve. I've been making that salve. I'm also creating a temple tea. I'm formulating all of that right now, but it's a temple tea that's going to be made with the miracle leaf, soursop, and other healing leaves. So I'm moving more into I know, right? I'm moving more into the medicinal side of some of my work. And I also make a neem tooth powder, which fights gum disease. And
is it on your website? Because I'm looking for a new.
It's not on the website yet, but
let me know when that comes out, please.
That I will be making that next week, so make sure you send me a text message about it. But neem tooth powder is something I used to make when I had the shop on Bayou Road, but I'm definitely going to bring that back because a lot of people deal with gum disease and things of that nature. So I'm not doing a bunch of apothecary stuff, but those are some of the things. The things I'm most amped about also is my music. My band is killing it right now. I finally got the perfect members of my band. We love each other. They love playing my original music, and we love creating new music together. We are now like taking some Orisha chants and other things and blending them into some modern funky rhythms, you know. So look out for the new Sula Spirit CD, probably in another 8 months or a year from now. We're working on it right now, but I'm really excited about that. And I'm also excited that my book, Spirit of the Orisha, in the final stages of Audible confirming or what is it? Audible. They're like, what's the word? It's in like production. Like they're what's the word when they?
I don't know, but it's about to come out on Audible.
It's about to come out on Audible. Spirit of the Orisha. With me for the last year, a little more than a year, I've been in the studio, and I've been reading Spirit of the Orisha in my own voice and re-singing all the chants. So that entire project, it's taken me over a year, but it's about to be up on Audible. Audible is doing the evaluation of it now and making sure that all the kinks are out. And then it's going to be uploaded probably in the next month. So I am mad excited about that because it's going to be called Spirit of the Orisha Living Classroom. So that would give a chance for classrooms to adopt it into their school. That would give people who are homeschooling an opportunity. That will give elays and spiritual houses an opportunity to teach their elays or teach their students whether they have the physical book or not. But I just put out the second edition of Spirit of the Orisha. It's a second edition, which some of the things have just been, corrected and perfected. And so I didn't even make an announcement on social media yet because I want to wait until the Audible Living Classroom comes out. And then I'm going to announce the second edition of the book with the Audible thing.
Yay!
So
we're definitely linking that in the show notes because I have it. I got this the first version back in 2017, and I have the CD and the book, and I have definitely spent many hours with the CD, just like jamming out in my car. The fact that you're adding lessons to it so that people have more context is really amazing. And I've been to your Yaya's classrooms and I've seen you speak, and obviously, we talk on the phone all the time. It's like, this is just like such a gift.
It really is. I mean, I just felt like maybe a little more than a year ago, I said, it's time to put this on Audible, and it also brings the project back into my hands, into my soul, because this is my baby. This is my brainchild. And, I really honor the translator on this project, Omoba Adewale Adenle, who I just adore as a human being. And he worked with me so lovingly to help me transcribe those 38 chants from Yoruba to English to the phonetic pronunciation.
Wow.
And so that's my baby. That is my baby. Spirit of the Orisha is my baby. So if people want the CD, if people want the CD, they can download Spirit of the Orisha by Zion Trinity on any digital platform worldwide. And if they want the book, a physical copy of the book, they can go to my website, sulaspirit.com.
Yeah.
And if they want the Audible version, they can go to Audible in a couple of weeks, in about a month or more, and look up Spirit of the Orisha Living Classroom. And so I'm really amped about this new stuff. And then my CD that I produced in 2017 with a Tanzanian producer, I produced that CD in Tanzania.
Wow.
And when I flew to Tanzania in 2017, I was recreating my life. I left a 21-year business that I had been in and partnership that I had been in, and realized that it was time to recreate myself. So in 10 days, myself and Abdallah Saidi, Abdallah, Abdala, Abdallah Saidi Mshakamari. And that was the producer in the studio in Tanzania. And I ended up marrying this man because we fell in love in the studio.
It's not a hard thing to do. Heard this story before.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? You're fine. Let's get married. It was great. But anyway, so it didn't exactly happen like that. But anyway, Abdallah Saidi Mshakamari and he did all the music on that CD. It's called A Journey Within. And you can find that on my website or any digital platform also. But I'm really amped about the music because I have, as you know, I was in a reggae band for 21 years, Zion Trinity. And after leaving Zion Trinity, I kind of believed I could only sing Orisha music and reggae music. Because I was locked into those two genres for all those years. And then when I went to Tanzania and I met Abdallah, he was like, "You're a great musician. Like, you should be exploring yourself in a different way." And he really birthed me. So I call him my midwife. We're still friends, even though we're not married. But I call my midwife. I say, "Hey, midwife, how you doing?" Because I say that he's my mid-husband, but I just say midwife. But I say that because he birthed me into being Sula Spirit.
Yes.
Before I met him, I had the name Sula Spirit. Someone called me, they used to call me that. In Zion Trinity, our principles were based on 1 John 5:5, that we are the spirit, the water, and the blood. And there will be 3 witnesses in heaven and 3 witnesses on earth. And all of them will proclaim that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. So when I was with the reggae band, we were known as Spirit, Water, Blood. I was spirit, our other sister was water, and our other sister was blood. So that name just followed me. It wasn't like I think I'm spirit. I was literally, that comes from my old band. And so I had the name Sula Spirit, but I didn't know Sula Spirit, the solo artist. And when I went to Tanzania and I met, we call him Diwi. My former husband's name is Diwi. Mm-hmm. And we call him, and Diwi was like, you are like holding yourself back from yourself.
Wow.
And he pushed me really in the small amount of time. When I first went there, I was only there for a month. And we did that CD in 10 days. All the music.
Whoa.
All the lyrics. I didn't have no music full. Only one of those songs was written before. 2 of those songs, were written before I went to Tanzania. Everything was inspired by the love and inspired by just incredible stuff. And as you know this, my CD, A Journey Within. It's a great CD for that, especially only made in 10 days. It's like, it has a lot of, you can see it was birthed from, I have it. I know, the blue one with me coming out of the ocean.
Yes. I love that CD.
Yeah, so that was really the birth of Sula Spirit. Wow. And that was just a couple years ago. So the music is, even though, again, I've been singing for 30 years, mm-hmm. but I didn't know myself as a solo artist and as a person who had potential to sing all genres of music.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So when I came back home, I was like, well, if you have a CD, you better get a band together, girl. And I just started calling the 4 musicians in the city that I love the most. And I was like, I'm trying to form a band called, I don't know what I'm going to call it, Sula Spirit's Coin Band. And I say Coin because that was my grandmother, born in the 1700s. And she's the one who led me back to my shrine in Ghana.
Wow.
everything I do. My shrine is Ile de Coin Coin. My band is Sula Spirits Coin Coin Band. So we have really perfected the music now. And so now we're ready to travel. We want to come to Portland. We want to come to Africa.
Yes,
We want to come to Hawaii. We want to come to St. Croix. Because we're ready. Now we're ready. A year ago, the band, was great. But now we are ready. We have a lot of songs under our belt. We have originals as well as some covers for people who don't know us yet. So that's the expansion in my life right now. If you ask what's new, this music and being able to travel globally to teach and with the band, because I just came back from St. Croix teaching Orisha songs. I go all over. I was just in Hawaii last year teaching Orisha songs and global songs because I teach songs from the Ghanaian tradition also.
Yeah.
So between teaching, the temple, and the music, I'm really a happy camper right now.
I'm so glad. I mean, to hear your story, to hear the journey you've been on in the last 6 years and you starting to get to know you since 2017, it's like, it's a really inspiring sort of, there's that idea of like the opening lotus. Like, I feel like I've been witnessing that in you. And I love hearing some of the stories, the older stories before I knew you, because it seems as if in your life that this is something that like you've been really sharing the ebb and flow of many years in your life, and how there have been many times when you've had this opening like a lotus thing going on, and it's inspiring. I'm like what 15 years behind you in age, and it's like inspiring to just know that on this journey, that I can, even if there's the hard times, there's just so much, there's still so much available to me. There's no sort of limit if I get older that, I won't be able to create this thing that's in me that I'm having a hard time to get out. I find that that's like very active for me right now. It's like, oh, there's all this stuff. There's all this creation. Like I feel this rush. I have to get it out like tomorrow, this year, and I'm like, God, that's so much pressure. Like life doesn't end after a certain age, or because like that program is in me that it ends at a certain age, or if something hard happens, or if I end up in a survival mode, like there's always a way to get back on a path of manifesting who I really am. I'm just so inspired by that, and like you sharing. And I do have a couple more questions if you're open.
Please, I'm open to all of it. Bring it on, girl.
Okay, so here are the last two questions.
Sure.
The first is, if the Nana Sula of 20 years ago walked into your dwelling and wanted to talk, what would you say to her?
Oh, girl. I would tell her, don't give your good stuff away. Don't give your good stuff away before you test the character of a person. I used to, in my younger walk, I would trust everybody, think everyone's the sweetest, and think no one was ever going to harm me. And it set me up sometimes for a lot of crashes. Yeah. And I would tell my younger self to trust her inner wisdom and to trust her inner knowing. Because a lot of times I was always a knower, but I was weak I was not weak. The word is, I had an insecurity when I was younger to the need to be liked, the need to be accepted, because I grew up a chubby kid, or how it is sometimes in the Black community, we grow up with the whole light skin, dark skin thing, and then you got the thing, and then this community don't like you, and then your family Creole, and they think you too Black, and it's just all this madness that we actually are, victims of.
Yeah.
And so my younger self wanted to please. I did a lot of things for people that didn't deserve my light. I was coming with a kind and loving spirit, and they were coming to devour. And so if I had trusted my inner knowing, I wouldn't have involved myself with certain things and certain people and places. But that's what I would tell my younger self. Trust yourself. Trust your inner God self. And your ancestors who are whispering in your ear. And like my godfather said back in the day, you hard-headed. They were right. I was hard-headed. Because I was coming from a wounded place. We also come from broken homes sometimes, and those things sometimes color how you trust. So there were things that I say that my younger self went through, and I could have spared myself some of that pain had I just trusted my inner knowing.
Good, really good advice for everybody, because we're born with that intuition, right? We have it.
No, it's true. It's true. And I also have one thing I want to share, is that it is a song to Mami Wata. And because another thing that I find that I'm coming into divine understanding about is that having money or not having money is a state of mind. It really, I've recognized, I spent a lot of years with a poverty mentality, thinking I either didn't deserve it or people do bad things with money, so I don't need a lot of money. I don't need this. But I'm recognizing that we end up sometimes selling ourselves short and not receiving all the gold and gifts that we deserve. And that's something that Mami Wata is teaching me. I'm a magnet for all the things I need to be a magnet for. I'm a magnet for wealth. I'm a magnet for success. I'm a magnet for joy and love. And I learned a song about Mami Wata from a man uptown in New Orleans. His name was Ogban. And he's still alive. And his name was Ogban. And one day, he's from the Igbo or IGB or Igbo. Some people say Igbo or Igbo, but he's from the Igbo tribe. And one day we were talking about Mami Wata, and he told me he needed me to pray for him for wealth for his business. Yet he came from a Mami Wata village. He was born in a Mami Wata village. And I said, you were born in a Mami Wata village. The same song that you're about to teach me, sing into your own life. And his money started changing and picking up.
Wow.
Things started shifting for him. And the song says, Igbigi, mother, that's the name for mother. Igbigi welego nalemo, mother, grant us power to make wealth. Mami Wata, welego nalemo, Mami Wata, grant us the power to make wealth. Igbina chandoma, mother, if you say it, it will be so. And I started singing that song, and I have to say, we as a race of humanity, we need to know that we can manifest miracles by our mouth, by what we say, by speaking life over our money, speaking life over our lungs, our liver, our kidneys, our blood. We can do a lot. And by just the sacred breath. But in the same vein, if we speak ill about ourselves, or say we're not worthy, or say we're ugly, or say we're fat, or say we're da-da-da, or say we poor, and we need to, the so-and-so people, they always poor. Well, that's what we're going to get. And I learned the power of the tongue. I've learned a lot. So I would love to share that song with you, because this song is saying, Mami Wata, grant us the power to make wealth. And in singing this song, we see her swimming to the bottom of the ocean and pulling up all those treasures that our ancestors came from Africa with.
Yes, please.
You see, so I love this song. And this is a song I turned into a Afro house track. So this is my first single. I'm going to sing it. I'm going to not sing it. I'm going to sing it the traditional African way. But if you look up Mami Wata Afro House, you will hear this chant. Mm-hmm. But this chant really began to shift my money because again, I always kind of survived with $2 or $3 in my pocket. I still was making it, but they look pretty now. Still had $2 or $3 in my pocket, right? And then I began to speak life over my money and and opportunities just started coming to me. And when I started seeing my worth, I wouldn't accept, or people just stopped asking me to come to something for free, or people just stopped saying, "Oh, we don't have a budget."
Yeah.
When you're pouring your soul into it, and they do have a budget. So I just began to see, like, you have to value your however many years you've been on the spiritual path, and you should not feel bad if you're given more money, or you should feel bad if you have the boldness to ask for it, and your worth. So I leave everyone with this song, and I pray it, praying over everyone's financial situation, that anyone who's facing potential houselessness or a houseless situation, that they have the mansion of their dreams. I'm praying that food is on everyone's tables. I'm praying that everyone's children, that they're fed and clothed, and that we have not only money just for this week, but that we have wealth upon wealth, not only in our finances, but in our health, in our mindset, in our love of ourselves. May we be abundantly pouring over with all the goodness that this earth has to offer. So,
wow, what a blessing for this world.
Yes. So I offer this song, and it goes like this. Ikpiki wele ko nalemo, Mami Wata wele ko nalemo. Ik ben achandoma, wele go nalemo. Mami Wata, wele go nalemo. Ik ben achandoma, Mami Wata. Ik ben achandoma. That's for everyone to be blessed. And Mami Wata's Mother of Mysteries, may she come and teach you who she is. May she come and heal humanity. And may she show you the waters deep inside of yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nana Sula, my heart is open. I'm so grateful that you shared the resource of your wisdom and energy with us. And I truly feel blessed in this moment. Thank you.
I thank you, Alexandra. I want to thank you because you are so awake and so, I know this is the Woke Wisdom podcast, but you're just very, very awake. And from the time I met you till now, it's been a joy. And I love talking to you. I love seeing how much you grow. And I see, you are what they call a mover and a shaker in the world. And you are the get her done lady, the get her done. If you put your name and if you put your energy on something, you can move mountains. And I've seen you do it. And I've seen you partner with other people and big up everything because you love humanity.
I do.
You love humanity, and you love your kitty who's with you there too.
This little cat here, let me take a picture. This is now a theme for us.
That was great.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I thank you so much, and I wish you nothing but love in your love life, in your business life, in your health, in everything. It's a beautiful journey that I'm so happy I met you in this lifetime.
I'm glad we're doing together.
Me too, love.
Yes, Nana Sula, more of that. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I just went through a wisdom portal, and all of it kept touching into those places that are about compassion within myself and compassion for others and compassion for the humanity around me. And I really left this after editing this recording. I'm remembering back to like feeling, like actually palpably feeling hope and compassion when we had our conversation, and it kind of showing up again when I edited this episode. Thank you, Nana Sula. Beautiful. And that's it, my friends. This is the last episode of the Woke Wisdom Podcast. Thank you for being with us. If you're new here, please go listen to all the other episodes. If you are an old friend, thank you for coming back. And I am happy to enter into our break with presenting this song, Mami Wata, Afro House, by Nana Sula. I suggest you turn up your music and get ready to dance.
Mami Wata, wele go nalemo. Ik bin a chandoma. Hey Biggie, mother, grant me power to make wealth. Mami Wata, grant me power to make wealth. Ik Biggie, mother, ik Biggie. Everything will be well when you say, Ik Biggie wele go nalemo. Mami Wata, wele go nalemo. Ik bin a chandoma. Mother, grant me power to make wealth. Mami Wata, wele go nalemo. Mami Wata, grant me power to make wealth. Igbigi, Mother, Igbigi, Igbina Chandoma, Igbigi Mother. Everything will be well when you say, come bless us with your healing power. Come rain down your healing power upon humanity. Heal us from the inside out. Show us the waters deep inside of ourselves. And heal us. Heal us and our ancestors from this generation, 10 to 20 to 50 generations back. Igbigi, everything will be well when you say, Igbigi wele go nalemo. Mami Wata wele go nalemo. Igbina chandoma. Igbigi, Mother. We trust you. Igbigi, Mother. We honor you. Igbigi, Mother. We praise you.
The original and healthy beats for this podcast were created by Quincy Davis. I put his info in the show notes. The Woke Wisdom Podcast was written, created, and edited by me, Alexandra Loves. It is a production of the Moon Garden Temple. And my guests, of course, they bring their own wisdom. If you resonate with anything you heard today, please help us spread these messages and help get the podcast growing by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It just takes a few clicks. Clickety click, clickety click, click. You can contact me or the podcast at wokewisdompodcast@gmail.com. And look, I used to read the disclaimer at the end of every episode. I'm not doing that anymore. It's too long. If you really want to see the disclaimer, it's on our website or it's at the end of our very first episode, Orientation and Welcome. And if you're new to this podcast, I highly suggest you check that episode out. It's awesome. It kind of lays the land for what we talk about here and the way we roll. So thank you, everyone. Be blessed, and we'll catch you on the next one.